Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where the shows are never posted in a regular order. Each episode is graded like a school project, starting with 100 points, taking 1 point away for each error, while I make snarky comments all the way through. And still photos are used frequently to prevent copyright claims. Today's episode is Booby Trap. The plot, Geordi's hopeless quest to trap boobies. Look closely, the little umbrellas match their shirts. Geordi's first mistake is offering a drink called No-No when he's trying to get her to say yes, yes. The first point is lost because the fake violinist's bow does not touch the violin. And this scene is to show young men what not to do on a first date. No wonder Geordi is single. The holodeck is packed with more adventurous programs. He should have tried one of those first. You should really take more advice from the kid. Look to your left, there is a drink that is green. Can someone out there tell me if this is a legal or illegal move in three-dimensional chess, because I don't know. The next point is lost since they are exploring this asteroid field and none of their sensors noticed that some of these asteroids had ancient equipment on them. They always call this race primitive, when in reality they were thousands of years ahead of Earth. Geordi's second big mistake was going to 10 forward so everybody could see he screwed up. Either that or he's already making his move on a new girl. And there is no way he spent days putting together such a lame program. Minus 1 point for the black square on the back panel to prevent reflections. Look closely at that symbol, you'll see it again soon. And there it is, a Promelian battle cruiser. Picard is totally blown away that nobody on a spaceship has ever heard of a ship in a bottle. Data says there's adequate oxygen, but I'm going to take a point for them not beaming onto an abandoned spaceship without a space suit. Anything could happen. Picard wants to know why they never built ships in bottles as boys.
I never played with boys.
O'Brien's comment is foreshadowing for the series finale. The next point is lost for never mentioning using gravity boots. This would solve all the problems concerning artificial gravity and the TV industry. Look close, now the drinks match their shirts, so minus 1 point for this show just being a little too color coordinated. It wouldn't happen in real life. And again, a crew member goes to Guinan for advice instead of the ship's counselor. Deanna really doesn't have a job, does she? Worf says I, number 1. Then once they turn the lights on, you're thinking, hey, that's just the battle bridge, isn't it? Oh look, here is the same symbol that was on the Enterprise bridge, so minus 1 point. Riker says I, number 2. 1 point lost for a single set of doors on the fake turbolift, and 1 point for Deanna not being in a proper uniform. And look, her boots match. 1 point lost for not sending a research team over to the ship now because that's their job. That's why they're in space. Data says I, number 3. That's what she said. And minus 1 point because Deanna only has 2 lines on the show because nobody goes to her for advice, which is her job. Picard maneuver number 1 and minus 1 point for leaving so soon. It is in their job description to explore. Worf says I, number 4. In this tense situation, Riker slightly gets up to let out a fart. And we all know what Picard is thinking right this very moment.
Shannon, I think your trap's caught a booby!
Before you ask yourself, just who's flying the ship? Look at those large asteroids outside the windows. And now, the stars are there instead, so minus 1 point. Data takes this time to mansplain how much he knows about the Promelians and the Minthars, but he doesn't know about this booby trap, so minus 1 point. Those asteroids would not all move the same, so minus 1 point. You gotta look quick here because Geordi barely does the Picard maneuver. Minus 1 point for not knowing who built the engines he works on every day. Minus 1 point for not talking with the other engineers in engineering. It's their job to solve these problems. And see, even Geordi agrees with me. Geordi does Picard maneuver number 3. That's because he's talking to a girl, so he has to adjust. And why does Dr. Crusher want everybody to go to the odd number decks and not the even numbered decks? We will never find out. Probably just so she could get at least 5 lines in the show. 1 point lost for not trying to run these ships' logs through the Promelian computer first. Data says I, number 5, so it's time to celebrate. The first thing Geordi says to Leah when he realizes there's very little time, I need to get inside there. How is that allowed on family TV? -1 point for the single set of doors, and -1 point for the chief of engineering not telling anybody he was leaving. I would point out the Enterprise models on the counter, but instead I'm going to take a point because he did not bring an engineering team with him to help him work the whole thing out. And there she is. Geordi created a girl, just like in Weird Science.
She's alive! Alive!
After 1,000 years, the ship would have crashed into one of the asteroids, so -1 more point. Geordi's like, I'm in trouble now. The last time this happened, Dr. Pulaski was kidnapped and we got a copyright claim from the Conan Doyle estate. Geordi is so excited he performs Picard maneuver number 4. 1,000-year-old alien technology will not instantly work on a Federation computer, so -1 point. Geordi thinks Leia has the personality of a cold fish, so decides to program a personality into her. However, you don't want a 10% margin of error when you're about to be eaten by radiation, so -1 point for bringing her to life. And there she goes. And now they're fighting. That's why you never give a girl a personality. Here we go with more adult metaphors on a family show. Data says there may be several 100,000 of those devices, and the Enterprise sensors missed every single one. -1 point for Geordi going to the bridge to talk to the captain instead of on a monitor. Time is valuable and they have none left. Even Picard says, why are you up here? Go back to engineering. Worf complains that his magic rocks are falling apart. Geordi says he's not done playing with his holodeck girlfriend. The next point is lost here. Leah's personality is based on lectures she gave, and she probably didn't rub everybody's shoulders at the lectures. Geordi says the ship's self-driving mode will save us. Picard and Riker discuss the dangers of the computer running the ship. Data would be pissed at this, wouldn't he? And this is why Picard called Riker, and he just wants to talk about model ships again. This conversation has nothing to do with getting out safely. This is foreshadowing that autonomous cars aren't any better than driving it yourself. Geordi says his human brain is smarter than the holographic brain. Geordi's solution is one big blast of air and they coast out. Wesley and Data are both like, why didn't we think of that? Picard sees this as an opportunity to boost his own ego like the self-centered pompous ass that he is, and he relieves Wesley Crusher. Wesley's like, how many times have I saved this ship and never got credit for it? Picard maneuver number 5. It's time to celebrate again. 1 point lost since not all the lights are out. Yeah, you can see Wesley in the background there. He's grumbling because he doesn't get to take the credit for saving the ship this time. Here you can see the starboard thruster firing. Now the port thruster is firing, but you don't see it, so -1 point. Data is too smart to be surprised by Picard's tactics, so -1 more point. Worf says, number 6. Another point lost here because they are out of the debris field. They will have to destroy a lot of asteroids before they get to that ship. And another adult-themed phrase on a family show. How do they get away with this? No wonder Star Trek is so popular. Geordi says goodbye to his digital girlfriend thinking, hey, when I'm at Deep Space Nine I have to pay for this at Quark's, but here it's free. Geordi performs Picard maneuver number 6. Geordi ends the program, but forgot to save her character in any special private file that only he can access. But don't worry, it's not like the real Leah Brahms will ever show up and cause all hell to break loose. Julie Warner has 50 screen credits, including Doc Hollywood, Herman's Head, and Scrubs, and she will be back in a few months. Albert Hall has 80 screen credits, including The Night They Saved Christmas, Malcolm X, and Ally McBeal. And Susan Gibney has 50 screen credits. She'll be back as Dr. Brahms next year and on Lower Decks, and she'll be back on Deep Space Nine. Booby Trap, where the technology for self-driving vehicles was rejected, however they do like holographic boobies, gets a score of 70. Yes! Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave comments below, click that like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.